Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to MAC Media Days. As a commissioner, I want to address a few things in the Dynasty. So first of all, there are 6 user teams among the computer MAC teams. Those teams are Akron, Ball State, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Central Michigan, and Northern Illinois. We chose not to include Toledo or Miami of Ohio in our choices because they were the 2 best teams in the conference. And felt they would be unfair to anyone who chose them. Everyone else was free game. We will be putting the quarter length at 6 minutes per quarter. We will also have our XP for the coaches up to the fastest XP level so they can level up quicker. Outside of that, I don't think there's any additional rules or any changes that we have from any normal dynasties at this moment. And to all the coaches out there, good luck, and let's have some fun. At this time, I would like to introduce the head coach of Akron, Coach Thrower of the Flame. Coach Thrower of the Flame here with Akron Football. Akron Football is going to compete for a conference championship this year and try and push our way into the playoffs. Right now, we are number 2 in the nation in recruiting. That is behind Northern Illinois. We have a 3-star receiver that's coming in as we speak. As well as some quality football players on our roster already. Starting the season off with Troy, then we'll be playing Liberty in week 2, and then we're going to play Kansas State followed by Auburn. All road games outside of Troy in the non-conference schedule, and then we will be playing our conference schedule out. I think we're going to have a good football team. We run the Ole Miss offense, which is like a spread kind of offense with some veer and shoot principles in it. Then defensively, we run the multiple, so some 4-3, 3-4, 5-2, nickel dime, all that good stuff. That's what we'll look like defensively. For our players, obviously keep an eye on our running backs. We have 2 different ones that will probably do the bulk of the carries, assuming that everyone stays healthy throughout the season. So keep an eye on our running back situation and who kind of takes the lead for that position. And on defense, I think we have a very quality defensive end, and I think he will make a lot of plays for us out of the left end position. He's a right end that we moved over. He's a 79 overall. I think he will make a lot of plays for us. I think we have a few corners also that could be impact players depending on how the season goes. I will open it up to questions now for Akron Football.
What are your expectations for your team this year, and what would be your definition, I guess, of success for a successful year?
I think when I look back through some of the past years of Akron football, I think that it has been a few years since we have been bowl eligible. I think being bowl eligible certainly is a success and something that we will certainly strive for. At the same time, I also believe that we have a team that could compete for a conference championship. Obviously, that will be decided throughout the year and what we are able to do, against our opponents. Bowl eligibility, conference championship, make the playoffs. That's going to be the goals every year, and we'll check them off as we go. Anyone else with any questions?
What does being the co-coach of the Akron Zips mean to you?
It means that, sometimes we have to split some time doing some other things. Being part-time commissioner and having to hear grievances, and having to listen to Coach Flaxman, Waxon, Jackson yell, and being outraged at what's going on. Listening to Coach the better Cooper, how he doesn't think it's fair that some of these teams are getting more recruits or they got set up in this way, even though right now he got the luckiest draw of it all and has 2 commits already, and we haven't even made it to week 1 yet. I think that it'll be a balance of those things. That's my thoughts on co-coach, co-commissioner.
Coach, you were at Akron previously, and you were there were allegations of recruiting violations there. Can you speak on that a little bit about your first tenure at Akron?
I would love to speak on that. First thing, I don't remember any recruiting violations, nor do I know anything about accusations of such. At that point, recruiting was a lot different in dynasties because that was still when you had the phone calls and you could only do 60 hours a week and you had a total of 10 hours within that dynasty. It was not an online dynasty, but it was one where Akron was a top 25 football team year in and year out. competing against Oregon and some of the other premier schools in the country and scheduling them, and a lot of good players in those, a lot of good seasons. And so that was certainly a dynasty that got us kind of to where we are now with a lot of success, and we're looking forward to a lot of the same successes and a lot different recruiting and a lot different style game. At this moment, we'd like to call up Coach Girth Brooks of the University at Buffalo for some season outlook and some questions.
Good evening, everybody. Excited to be here on behalf of the University at Buffalo as the head ball coach. I'm excited for the year. Obviously, I think we're going to have a very competitive team. These guys, that's one thing they're going to do is they're going to go out there and compete. That's all I can ask for. Going forward, quarterback play is going to be huge. I think we got a good quarterback. Just can't wait to get out there, see how the boys do. So I'll open it up for questions.
Which part of the campus do you prefer? North Campus, South Campus, or the downtown campus, now that you've been on campus?
I'm still getting acclimated. This was kind of there was some confusion on Buffalo, just in general, where I was going. So I'm still getting acclimated. The downtown campus is, yeah, I like that one.
You're just answering the question about what part of the campus you like the most. Speaking to that, sounds like there was some confusion. Were you under the assumption you were getting hired to the Buffalo Bills and not the Buffalo Bulls?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I've been waiting to address that. Partially true. I think it was just your classic miscommunication. That being said, there are quite a few differences between the Bills and the Bulls.
The lack of bills you get for coaching the Bulls, and is that a load of bull?
Yes, to an extent. With all that being said, there's nowhere else I'd rather be right now. As I stated earlier, I'm excited for the season. We got some good players. We'll continue to build on it, and looking forward to it.
So since there was some confusion, are you thinking about hiring a new agent for like your next head coaching job?
That has been handled, yes.
Could you name one of your good players for us?
As I stated, I'm still getting acclimated. I was studying the Bills roster, so that took up a lot of time, and so I'm still getting to know the guys and build relationships. But I know one thing, I know they want to compete, and I know that's what they'll do. Any other questions?
What is the win-loss total that you're kind of expecting, or how do you feel your players will perform after some of those play-now blowouts that you've experienced as a result of preparing for this job?
Kind of wanted to see what I had to work with. I saw some good things, saw some things that need to be corrected. As far as a win total goes, if I had to put a number on it, as Coach Flame was alluding to, when you come into a program like this, bowl eligibility is a big thing. So anywhere around 6 and anything above 6, I think would be exceptional. And so that's kind of what we're expecting. All right, thank you guys.
At this time, we would like to bring up Coach Fetty Wormby Crooting of the Bowling Green Falcons. Come on up, Coach.
Hey, I'm Coach Wormby Crooting. I'm the new head coach of the Bowling Green Falcons. Just excited to be here, excited to get going. We have a group of a lot of seniors. This group has not competed for a championship and won one since 2015, so we're really looking to change that this year. Having one of the best running backs in the country with a veteran quarterback and a really good tight end, and we're looking to, with those three guys, really put up some good offensive numbers as I'm kind of known for. So that's the goal this year is to kind of bring that level of offense to the conference, and we'll see what can happen. At this point, I'd like to open it up for questions.
In years prior, you've actually had an issue with football is traveling through players. Is that like a helmet issue, or can you speak on that?
I've seen that before, and as you said, something that since that has happened, we've switched our helmets completely, and we're now we're going with the Speed Evo helmets, and that's really kind of made a difference in those types of situations. To be honest, I'm not a big defensive guy anyway, so you'll have that sometimes, but we're just trying to outscore them.
What are your expectations for your quarterback this year?
Obviously a veteran guy, you know, coming from a big program. He was hurt in the spring, had a knee issue, but he's back and ready to go. I think that, you know, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, and I expect him to really lead the conference across all quarterback statistics for us, and excited to get to work with him.
I know you're coaching at Bowling Green, yet the university decided to make your colors orange and more like a doo-doo brown. Is that because your team stinks instead, and that's what y'all went with instead of the green?
Yeah, I think that was really more of a budget issue than anything else. You know, just had to change up our jerseys. We went with Adidas there for a little bit instead of Nike, but you know, as I came back in, we're back with Nike. You know, the expectations are high, so we, you know, color scheme may be something that we're looking to change in a little bit, but for now we're proud of these colors and we're ready to play. Any more questions? All right, looking forward to a great year. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to call up Coach Jackson Flaxon Waxon, the Ball State head football coach. Whatever this guy's name is.
Welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Happy to be here, you know, taking this amazing job at Ball State. They have kind of been mediocre these past few years, and you know, my name is Flaxon Waxon, so you can call me Waxon because that's what we're going to be doing to opponents this year, okay? So we got a little bright spot with our quarterback. He's a redshirt freshman coming in, and so very young, really talented guy. We got a pair of tight ends that we are really going to work through this season and definitely run a new playbook. Might be running the Charlotte, Oregon playbook. We'll see what happens. Trying something new with my new staff and everything. Also have some bright spots on the defensive end with some couple of linebackers and some corners. But overall, team has some bright spots, and I'm looking forward to the year. I'll open up the room to some questions.
Has there ever been any consideration to changing that name? You know, that some people are saying it's stupid, dumb. I've heard those words used. Has there ever been any consideration?
No, there has been no consideration changing that name. I'll have to say my mother gave me this name, you know. I'm going to stick to it.
Do you have any words or thoughts on the Northern Illinois coach not showing up to media days? That seems to be a point of contention with the commissioner. I don't know if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share.
The funny thing is, I just saw him this morning and he seemed fine, but if he says he's sick or whatever he has, maybe that's what he has. We would love for him to be here, but sadly he isn't. So.
Coach, you're often heard in the parties singing songs. Could you give us your go-to karaoke song and maybe sing us a chorus or a verse or something?
Go-to karaoke song. So I would have to say my go-to karaoke song right now would have to be Barely Blue by Midland. Just came out not too long ago. No, I'm not going to sing for media day. Barely Blue, look it up, good song. All right, no further questions. Appreciate it, guys.
At this time, I would like to call up Coach Joey Freshwater from Central Michigan. Coach, come on up.
Thank you all for being here today, except for one coach. Very disappointing, but you know, it is what it is. I am Joey Freshwater, head coach of Central Michigan Chippewas. Go Chips. We're excited about the season. We have a couple of defensive backs that we're pretty pumped about, hoping that we can contain some of these offenses that have been talked about. Up here on media days, as far as the offensive scheme, I believe we're going to run the football. It's probably going to be pretty boring. We're going to try and win some football games and make it to a bowl game and see if we can win a state championship this year. If I'm not mistaken, most, if not all, of the major Division I schools on our schedule this year, so looking to take care of business in the home state. Open it up for questions.
You had a brief stint at the University of Houston where you had some issues coaching that team, a national championship program and contender and had some struggles there just a year into the program. Can you just talk about that a little bit and maybe what you've learned from there?
We didn't really learn a whole much from that team. To be just 100% honest with you, it was recruited pretty poorly. Like those guys, they're fine, but it was a brief stint, and I think all parties are happy with being separated. So,
You know, we haven't really heard a ton from you this week. Some are questioning maybe your commitment. Can you just, speak on that and go into detail, I guess, on your commitment level?
sure, yeah. I think that there's one coach who's not here, which when we're talking about commitment, taking time out of your day and showing up for the media days, I think that's pretty telling. As far as mine, engagement per se, I think it's enough, and we'll see how it goes on the field, so we're not too worried about it.
Speaking of commitments, I just wanted to talk about recruiting really quickly. You have been known to just, out of most of the coaches you've been around, just to be a horrendous recruiter. Can you talk about how you're going to address those concerns, especially, as you said, with everyone being in such close proximity to each other and competing for a lot of the same guys?
I don't remember talking about that, but what I do remember talking about is the guys we got on the team right now, and we leave the recruiting to the off season and the meetings that we have throughout the season. So it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with media days. We can't really speak to even who we're recruiting. We can't talk about names or anything of that nature. So I don't really think it matters, to be quite honest. I think we'll recruit the best that we can, and we'll see who wins and who doesn't.
Would you care to explain who you think you model your coaching after?
No one.
Do you think that's a good thing?
We're going to find out. Yeah, don't know. We're going to see. If we make a bowl game, maybe. If we win a championship, definitely. If we don't do either, then, we'll see. Any further questions today? Go Chips.
Hello, coaches. Thank you guys for joining us for Media Days Part 2. Unfortunately, we had a coach who could not make it to the first session. There is a rumor that he was at the North Pole helping Santa in the workshop. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is good in the North Pole from Little Santa's helper. We'll let him talk about his season and his #1 rated recruiting class right now. Coach DeBetter Cooper, would you like to take over?
I apologize for missing day one of media day. There's some rumors going around that people are calling me out, but I was out recruiting. That's why I got the #1 recruiting class in the nation right now. We're looking forward to the season. Got 2 recruits, 3-star and 2-star already committed. We're looking to get better. These 2 guys are going to be a huge help to our program moving forward. As far as the outlook for the season, we got some tough non-conference teams on the schedule. The goal for this year is to reach that 7 to 8 win mark on the season. Try and make a bowl game this year. I think it's completely doable with the team that we got. We got a running back that's going to be top in the conference, a tight end that's going to be top in the conference. We'll look to get these guys the ball and move down the field with these guys. They're going to be a huge part of our offense. As far as defense, we're going to be playing a lot of guys. We got a huge senior class, so we're looking to make some waves this year.
Yeah, Coach Cooper, with your name, you do have a brother that you will be competing against at some point. Have you given any thought to potentially having to change that name?
There will be no L taken. Let's just put that out there. The name's true. It's going to be true. It'll always be true.
Thank you.
Can I follow up on that?
Yeah.
I'm taking a look at your roster, Coach DeBetter Cooper, and I see that you have no receiver over a 70 overall. How are you going to address recruiting some wide receivers that come to Northern Illinois? Because I know you're a defensive head coach. I'm just saying defense is in the past. Offense is the new wave. And so how are you going to address these issues with these wide receivers?
Great question. As far as that, we got some receivers out there on the recruiting board that are going to be some diamonds in the rough. We're looking at some guys that we believe will change the program as far as the wide receiver outlook for our team. As far as the defense is not in the past. Defense will still be a priority for this team. We got some guys already in our sights that will be able to shut down our other conference teams, guys. So,
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Coach Waxon regarding as a defensive head coach. In the past dynasty that you all had together, I seem to recall a game where you gave up 46 points in one half. I was just wondering, is that the defense we should expect in this dynasty as well?
No, that will not be the defense to expect. We'll be changing the scheme a little bit here and there. We'll be throwing some new things at them.
On the topic of dedication and or focus, since you missed the first media days, there have been some questions as to your focus on the dynasty and your team as a whole. Most notably, things maybe distracting you from your commitments, Fortnite or silly things with 2K and getting your brain bashed in there. So for the group, I think we're curious as to your focus and your dedication towards the Northern Illinois. It's the Huskies, I believe, or is it the Puppies?
As far as that, I can promise you the focus is where it needs to be. As far as the first media today, I addressed that. I was out recruiting. Something that some of the other teams in the conference might need to look into doing. But yeah, the focus is where it needs to be. We'll let the gameplay speak for itself when we get there.
Coach, you mentioned your tight end being one of the best in the conference. I was just wondering what you thought about the background of my screen, Harold Fanning Jr., who is currently leading the country in all receivers and tight ends in receiving yards, and how you expect your tight end to be better than him.
We've looked at him. We've scouted him. We know what we're expecting of your guy over there at Bowling Green. Now, our guys, he's going to be one of the best. I didn't say the best, but one of the best tight ends in the conference. But we got high hopes for him. We're going to use him a lot. We got a bunch of offensive schemes that are specifically for him. So,
Coach, you said our guy. Can you name that guy?
Yeah, he's on the roster list. You can go look him up. Any more questions?
Meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.
Good job.